Hi everyone, I'm Cassidy Megan. I'm the founder of Purple Day, and welcome to Unmasked Cassidy Megan podcast. Today we're talking to Monica and Dan, as well as Norm. Monica and Dan are with EmmaIs, and Norm is the trustee with the Toronto Catholic School Board. To get started, Monica, Daniel, would you like to give a brief introduction of yourselves?
Hi everyone. Our daughter is Emma. She is kind of the name behind EmmaIs. So we launched EmmaIs actually a few years ago on Purple Day. Cassie was our inspiration to kind of help, bring our message out just in the same way that she brought her message out. So, we kind of came up with the name EmmaIs for infantile spasms. Which is actually a form of epilepsy, and she was diagnosed when she was 7 months. But it was also, Emma is whatever Emma wants to be. We didn't want anything to hold her back. So that's why we kind of had that. So it kind of serves two purposes. And yeah, so we're based in Toronto, and yeah.
I love it. Norm, do you want to give a brief introduction of yourself as well?
Absolutely. My name is Norm Pasquale. I'm the Toronto Catholic District School Board trustee for Ward 9. I also have a daughter named Emma. This issue matters a lot to me because my wife has epilepsy, and it affects her, but my wife is so many other things as well. She's a mother, a leader, a social justice champion, and my life partner. And I'm just honored to be here tonight. And honestly, when you reached out, Cassidy, I couldn't believe it, because I've been on the Purple Walk so many times and have been through Purple Day so many times. Just such an honor to meet the creator of Purple Day. Thank you so much for inviting me tonight.
Well, thank you. I'm glad you both we were able to do this together. Yeah, it's great to meet both of you guys. So, can you guys explain a bit about what Emma is and what Emma, the name behind the name? So, Emma is your daughter, and she has infantile spasms?
Yeah, so she was diagnosed with infantile spasms at 7 months. It's a very degenerative form of epilepsy. It actually causes a lot of regression in children. We were fortunate; we caught it very early, and the medication worked, and we were able to, kind of move over that. And then, we had a couple of years where she was seizure free, and then, the seizures came back, and I'm sure everybody's aware, or maybe they're not, but her seizures change over time, and we've seen such a change over the last couple of years. So now she's 7 years old. She actually has a VNS device, which is almost like a pacemaker, but it's for the brain. So it's a little device kind of implanted in her chest that we can actually swipe with a magnet to kind of send the signal. It's actually really fantastic technology, and the advances they've made in some of the non-medicine treatment behind epilepsy has just been great.
That's amazing. How has her seizures been doing with the VNS and new treatment plans?
So because her seizures have changed so often, she's been on a lot of different medications. We've even tried the keto diet. Unfortunately, nothing really works for a prolonged period of time. So we always call it a honeymoon period. After she tries a new medication or a new treatment, she's good for a couple of weeks, and then we see the seizures returning. What we have noticed, and what has been beneficial with the VNS, so why we like it and why we want to continue with it, is her cognitive ability has improved with it. So we've seen some development in that area. We hear that the longer you have the device, the better it is. So I think the optimum time is 10 years, I've heard. So she's nowhere close to 10 years. We appreciate it. But right now she is scheduled to have surgery. The entire journey, like we share a lot about now, but it hasn't always been easy. Like, it takes us a good couple of months to be able to share anything about her. So we found out beginning of the year that she's going to be having corpus callosotomy, which it basically disconnects the two halves of the brain, and they function independently. And the goal of it is seizures won't be able to move from one side of the brain to the other. And so it'll prevent the drop seizures that we do see her having, and prevent falls, hopefully. So that's the next thing. The doctors do think that the BMS device will work better once she has the CC. So that's kind of where we are with her. Despite it all, I think you can see her. She's on one of the screens. She's with her sister Isabella right now. She's a happy kid. She's, you know, this is just normal for her. And so I guess she doesn't know any different. It's hard for us. We'll never forget it. Sometimes I wonder if she'll ever remember.
Memory definitely is a hard ball with epilepsy. I know almost everyone I know struggles with some sort of memory loss with epilepsies.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm glad she's getting the surgery and we doing okay for now.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us a bit about what EmmaIs does to help raise awareness and what all you guys do.
Yeah, so really it was, we were at a place where we didn't know what we wanted to do and what our next step was. You know, we kind of kept everything very close to our chest and we didn't really want to, you know, open up to everybody. We got to a point though where we said, you know what, we have to do something. We have to raise awareness, especially with infantile spasms. It's something that has to be diagnosed early for the treatment to be effective. And then with that, it just evolved into raising awareness for epilepsy because we saw the community and how supportive and strong the community was behind everybody, behind the kids, behind the adults with epilepsy. So we just wanted to kind of, you know, raise that voice and bring epilepsy to the forefront for everybody, because it is something that does affect a lot of Canadians and not too many people know about it. So it just, there's such a stigma behind it that we want to eliminate.
So I think what we first started doing is we created a social media presence, and then we started sharing information from other epilepsy sites or things that we had known. Then eventually we started hosting our own fundraisers, and the money that we raise goes to IS research at the Hospital for Sick Children. There's a study ongoing right now. Like Daniel mentioned, it's so imperative to get IS treated quickly because the infantile spasms, they don't present like seizures, like people imagine seizures would present. It looks like colic in a baby. So a lot of people get misdiagnosed. And the longer you wait for treatment to start, development, there could be a regression in developments that the child cannot overcome. And so we really want to be able to help people before that point. And so we started fundraising for raising money for infantile spasms research specifically. So we've had a couple of events, but then Emma started school, and you know, and it's through no one's fault. It just, a lot of people don't know a lot about epilepsy. And so we felt we had to talk about it and share information. And at that point, that's when we had decided that perhaps we need to, you know, get the school board involved in celebrating Purple Day.
And you know, I'm so grateful, Monica, that you reached out to us with this desire to recognize Purple Day at our school board. It was something that had been kicking around in my head for a while, but you reaching out galvanized me. As you know, as it happens with trustees, if we hear from someone who really cares a lot about an issue, it can really galvanize us to action. So you know, you played a major part in this happening at the Toronto Catholic District School Board. So thank you very much for that. Raising awareness is so important. I mean, 1 in 100 people are diagnosed with epilepsy, and the bottom line is that we need to continue to see the person while better understanding epilepsy and how we can support our students.
Excellent. I think he froze. Okay.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, you froze for a little bit.
Okay, I don't know where you lost me, but the Ontario government actually released a memorandum on sort of 5 prevalent medical conditions, and sort of saying really clearly that school boards need to support them and raise awareness and education and ensure that students with these 5 conditions are well supported in safe schools where they can reach their full potential. And epilepsy was one of those 5 prevalent conditions. So I think a lot has changed since 2018, and as is usual, we still have a way to go. One thing I found that's really effective at our schools is there's a group that does teaching through puppetry, and they teach about epilepsy through puppets, which it's a nice way to introduce the ideas to our students in a way that's not intimidating or scary. And yeah, that program has been really successful, and I would like to see that grow across our board even further than it is now.
Excellent. I can definitely agree with you there. So how did EmmaIs and you, Norm, how did you guys get in contact with each other? Like, what's been the journey with getting Purple Day and Epilepsy Awareness celebrated in your school, in the school?
Well, I'm a teacher at the TCDSB for the Toronto Catholic District School Board. And so whatever school I was at, I would always ask the principal, can you do it? And they always did it. So we have a handful of schools. Like I said, I thought it needed to be celebrated on a bigger scale. And I've noticed on Twitter that Norm would always tweet about epilepsy. So as we were approaching Purple Day this year, we tagged him in something, or I said, you know what, I think there's a connection here with Norm. Tag him, and so my husband tagged him, and then that's how we started speaking. And then it was a little bit after Purple Day, I think, probably like a week after, and I had said, you know, I'm going to present a delegation at the TCDSB, yeah, I just let him know, and he said he would support it and make the motion for it. So that's what I did. I just presented, he supported it, and then the trustees agreed. And so now I don't have to beg each principal at each school to do it. They're all going to be doing it going forward. It was actually very easy once we made up our mind to do it, and we had great support in Norm, and he's been a great advocate as well. So it's pretty easy once we made our mind up to do it.
That's amazing. And Norm, were you surprised when you got the tag notification from them?
Honestly, this is a cause that matters a lot to me. As I was mentioning, my wife has epilepsy, and I've been sort of engaged with the epilepsy community for, I'd say, over a decade. And you know, I've taken part in Purple Walks. In fact, for one Purple Walk, which is a walk that happens every June that Epilepsy Toronto hosts, I actually was at Bay and Bloor playing Prince songs on guitar, dressed head to toe in purple. So it's just an amazing community, and the city is awash in purple during the Purple Walk. And I'm, you know, with Purple Day, we can raise awareness at our board about epilepsy, and hopefully get more training in, and you know, more of these puppetry classes in for our students. And I hope to lead people over to the Purple Walk as well, so that, you know, they can see how strong the community is, and see the people with epilepsy in Toronto, and the amazing people that they are. It's such an uplifting day, the Purple Walk as well.
Amazing. So what are some of the channels or hoops you had to go through to get epilepsy awareness celebrated in the school board and throughout all the schools?
To be honest, there weren't many hoops. It was, you know, the TCDSB has a very standard process where you just kind of fill out a quick one-page form, why, like your reasoning and what you want to present. And then it was a 3-minute presentation that Monica delivered to the trustees, and Norm moved the motion. And so that was kind of step one. And step two was kind of just wait for it to come back and get passed. Little lengthier process with some other extracurriculars going on, but once we got there, it was a really smooth process. I think everybody was very supportive and on board with the initiative and getting the message out and bringing epilepsy to the forefront. So there weren't any challenges or any roadblocks that we had to face.
Yeah, and
what about on your side, Norm?
Yeah, so I'll just let you in behind the curtain. Like trustees were actually fighting over who was going to bring the motion to recognize Purple Day at the TCDSB. There were quite a few trustees who were very excited, but when I made them aware of the history and the amount of time I've been with the community, they all let me do it. But I think you can see the recipe for passing Purple Day at your school board here. So you need an advocate that's ideally not a trustee, to just come to the board, message the trustees, come and delegate, just raise awareness, and then, you know, try to find a trustee who's kind of on side with the cause at your board. And I think that you know, between the people and then the elected representatives coming together, that's how you make Purple Day happen at your board.
Amazing. So this is global. So what is some advice you guys would give to even anyone watching this or anyone here today of how they could go about getting it in epilepsy awareness celebrated in their schools?
I think the big one is ask questions. Find out what you have to do to get it done. Monica knew that this was the process. Had she not been a teacher, we probably wouldn't have known the process to get it done. So I think just, you know, if it's something that you want to maybe just start with your individual school first and try to get them to recognize it, that's your, you know, your first step. But then, you know, to get it celebrated throughout the board, ask the principal, ask the teachers, how do we go about doing this? Because there are many days that are celebrated throughout the year, and there is a process to get it done. They're just not arbitrarily chosen. And then once you find the process, do a little bit of research, find out what it actually takes. But, you know, really it's, you know, we were lucky. We kind of just searched, you know, we checked the website out and all of the information was there. And it's, you know, here's the steps to follow. And we just decided, okay, we're going to do it today. And we move forward on it.
I would add one more thing, and that's something that's personal. Like, be willing to share your story, because people respond to stories, right? People need to see the person. They need to understand that it's affecting someone, and I think that's always powerful. So if you're willing to tell your story, I think people are willing to listen, because there's that connection there.
Yeah, I completely agree with Monica and Daniel's points. Like, when Monica delegated, it touched all of the trustees' hearts, as I was saying, we were fighting over who was going to move this motion. And it's always a good idea to practice something at one school and see how it goes, and maybe refine it a little bit, and then bring that success story maybe up to the next level. I think that's a great idea. You know, you can check your board. You can just Google Purple Day and, you know, the abbreviation for your board to see if it's being recognized at your board. And that's one quick way to confirm if it's already happening or not. And maybe that's a reasonable first step too.
I was very lucky because as a teacher, I know a lot of principals from different schools, and I was able to ask them, like, personally, would you do it? But you know what surprised me this year? I didn't ask some of my friends, because I didn't want to, you know, overstep our friendship. And they just approached me and said, our school is going to be doing this. And that was really amazing. Like, they just approached me because they knew it was important to me. But yeah, I didn't go ahead and ask them.
That's amazing.
And that's how you start a movement, Monica.
Yeah.
That's amazing that, like, everyone there is taking initiative. I know another way we've done and heard people doing it in the past. There's been, like, reaching to the local organization, epilepsy organizations, and like getting help with advocacy with them and avenues with them. They can help put you in touch with so many different resources too. And yeah,
that's a great point, Cassidy. Like at Epilepsy Toronto, they're amazing advocates for epilepsy, and they were so excited when Purple Day passed at our board. I've been getting quite a few emails, you know, back and forth conversations, and just, way to go, you're the best. So it's a real thrill. I know lots of cities and towns have their own epilepsy organization, and that's just an excellent resource. Find your community. They're definitely out there.
Definitely. I know, like, Epilepsy Toronto and Epilepsy Ontario are both very amazing organizations, and both so very helpful. And have both done a lot for Ontario and Toronto. And of course, you guys can reach out to me too. Like, I'm open up for any advocacy with epilepsy. Yeah.
We really appreciate that, Cassidy. As I said, we were both blown away when you reached out to us. Like, it's just such an honor to get to meet you and be on a call with you. Just absolutely.
full disclosure, Monica was jumping around the kitchen, just
Yeah, see?
super excited that Cassidy message.
And then I messaged Norm right away.
Yeah.
And I was very excited about it. Yeah.
I'm honored for you guys. You guys are doing such great work with EmmaIs and getting it in all the school boards. It's truly amazing work both you, all three of you guys are doing. I think at the moment I'm out of questions. So if anyone has any questions they want to ask Daniel and Monica with EmmaIs or Norm, you can unmute yourselves. You can write in the chat. Ask away.
And maybe just quickly point out, there's a virtual purple walk on this week with Epilepsy Toronto. You might notice the poster way in the background.
Excellent. The post is a little small. Do you want to tell us a bit more about that, the walk?
Oh, sure. So it's called a virtual purple walk. So you could actually go on a walk, and it's on the 19th. And you can see more at epilepsytoronto.org. But they're suggesting, because there's 1 in 100 people live with epilepsy, to try doing anything 100 times as your Purple Pride challenge. So I'm looking at the one I'm going to do, which is sing 100 different songs. That one's called The Musician. You can also do 100 minutes of yoga, build a sculpture with 100 different items, run or do whatever for 100 kilometers, bake 100 things. So they're sort of promoting this 100 thing because 1 in 100 people have epilepsy. So that's
amazing.
The celebration ceremony is at 3 o'clock, and Mayor John Tory will be there, and hopefully you.
Hopefully, the 19th. That sounds like a free date. I'll double check. So is this just where it's virtual? Does that mean anyone around the world can participate in it, or just Ontario, Canada?
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody's welcome, for sure. And if you go to Epilepsy Toronto's Facebook page at 3 o'clock, it'll be live on June 19th.
Excellent. And so
yeah, and there's some awards for best purple dressed, best background, and most spirit.
Excellent. So is there like is it through Zoom? Is it like you do a live stream through Facebook? How are people?
Yeah, so they can join on Epilepsy Toronto's Facebook page. That's your best bet. You can also register, and they'll send you a Zoom code if you want to be, if you want to show off, let's say, your Purple Pride in terms of dressing purple or having like a nice purple background, or just showing your Purple Pride spirit.
Excellent. Well, okay, Epilepsy Toronto's page, guys, for 100 anything.
Yeah.
A question did come through the chat. Lori asked to Daniel and Monica, and I guess it could be Norm too, actually. How are you finding being caregivers of someone with epilepsy?
So I think it adds a different dimension to parenting. So Emma is our second child, and our first has no health issues and very independent. With Emma, we find that we have to advocate for her, whether it be having support at school, having support at a care facility, or for an activity. Especially with epilepsy, it's not something that's on the surface. You don't know that. You would never be able to tell that Emma has epilepsy. So if we don't advocate or kind of even help the individual process that information, because I think when we first say she has epilepsy, everybody thinks, oh no, full-blown seizure, how am I going to handle this? That's not necessarily the case for Emma. So we really have to explain the situation, kind of calm them down a little bit. It's almost like, yes, we have the anxiety behind us, but now we've shifted that anxiety and we have to bring it down to make sure that they understand Emma's needs and just kind of what to do.
And through it all, like, you don't want her just to be the kid with epilepsy in the class, So sometimes when people say, I'm sorry to you, and I know they mean well, I feel like saying, Well, don't be sorry, because I'm so proud I'm her mom. Like, she's so amazing, and I consider myself so fortunate to be her mother. So please don't be sorry. Like, everybody has something, and this is Emma's thing. She has epilepsy, but she's funny. She's smart. She doesn't like. She's always smiling. She has this amazing strength that I envy. I wish I was as strong as her. But yeah, like she's always smiling, and I think a lot of people always say that about her. So I never want people to feel sorry for us, because she's a joy. Like, she's amazing. Epilepsy is not who she is, it's just something she has.
Could not have worded better
Yeah.
myself. I love that last thing
Completely
you
agree.
said. And what about your Norm? You're kind of a caregiver in a different perspective with your wife.
Yeah, so I found out when I was dating my wife that she had epilepsy, and I said, oh yeah, fair enough. Moving on. It's something she lives with, but it certainly is not what defines her. And I have always just really not made kind of a big deal. I don't really need people's sympathy. And neither does she. She lives her life, and she lives it well, and she inspires other prospective mothers with epilepsy through the Epilepsy Moms group at Epilepsy Toronto. It's not something that should hold you back from a thing. There's still a life out there for you to live, and you can accomplish whatever it is you want, epilepsy or not.
Definitely, 100%. So Samantha had asked a question. She says, you mentioned every time something new happens with Emma, it takes a few months for you to process before you tell people. The more support you get from your community and friends, do you think that the processing time will be less and not as hard to deal with?
I'm going to be honest, we have different processing times. He processes a lot quicker than I do. I think it's just part of my personality. Like, I'm a type A, organized, need to have everything. And so that includes things in my mind too. So like, I have to make sense of it and be okay with it before I can share it. And that's what I mean. Like, I have to think about everything, feel everything, and then share. But Daniel is not like that.
I think for me, it's wearing two hats. I wear the hat as her dad, but then I also have the EmmaIs hat on. And our whole point is to try to get that message out and to try to get as much information out as possible. Not necessarily just about Emma, but if it's anybody experiencing something similar, this is how we acted and this is what we did, and that might help somebody. And that's why I try to get information out as quickly as I can, not necessarily for it to be about Emma, but just to try to help the community. So it's hard to say. It kind of depends on what it is. Like, I think when she was, slated for VNS, we wanted to get that message out because it was very exciting, just the technology behind it. With her surgery upcoming, that one we held on for a couple months. It was tough to take. And so every situation is definitely different. Like, even with the ketogenic diet, it was like, hey, we're doing keto, and it's not the fad keto, it's the medically supervised keto that is there to help.
Yeah.
And so that's why with that one, we were very quick out of the gate to get the messaging out and spread that.
I think the other thing with the VNS too is that Emma was the first person in Canada to receive the new model of the VNS device, the Sentiva model. So that was another reason we wanted to share that on our social media pages, because we wanted people to know that there was another model that was out, a newer model,
which was originally just available in the States, and now LivaNova made it available for, like, the Canadian government approved it for use in Canada.
It's amazing. I know we did a similar podcast with some LivaNova reps, Cam and Julie, and they talked about the VNSs, and they mentioned a new model coming, but they weren't sure, couldn't give us dates on when. So I'm glad.
This was the Sentiva, and she had her surgery in 2019, September 5th, 2019.
Okay. Excellent. That's amazing. Another question came through from Amanda, I believe. Yeah, Amanda. She says, Monica and Dan, do you feel that Purple Day being celebrated in school will make Emma feel even more understood by her peers and celebrated?
I think it has to come along with the information, right? So it has to be Purple Day, but there has to be information relayed to the students as well. So I think we shared with you before the call that her school this year was absolutely fantastic. 2 weeks prior to Purple Day, they did an announcement. They had someone from Emma's class do an announcement to the entire school on different facts about epilepsy. And then on actual Purple Day, they had Isabella, her other daughter, do a video and present it. And so then we also had the puppetry come in, the school organized the puppetry to come in and present to the grade 1 and 4 classes. And a lot of the students knew a lot of the information that the puppets were asking about epilepsy because of all that lead up into it. From what I understood, a lot of students were saying to the grade 1 class, I didn't know this much about epilepsy before. And so I do think Purple Day, it's important, but you have to have the information with it. You have to let people know what it stands for.
And, further to that, we didn't want it just to be about Emma, because we know there's definitely other kids in the school that have epilepsy, and they just might not be comfortable with bringing that forward because of the stigma. So we wanted to help normalize it and just make it, this is a normal part of somebody's life, and there's the right way to handle it. So that's why we wanted to help, bring epilepsy awareness to the school and to the school board.
This is great information for me to hear, because it would make sense probably to think of some lead up activities to Purple Day so that we could have like a similar result that you had at your school. So it's great to listen and learn from the two of you, Monica and Daniel.
Yeah. The admin team was really phenomenal, but the teachers as well, they were really, really great. And one of the EAs, not even Emma's EA, brought purple balloons to the school on Purple Day. Like, it was just a big event at the school, and everybody thought that we had sent them, and we're like, we didn't send any balloons. So it was someone else. Like, it really was a great day.
It's amazing. And I'm with thing behind my idea behind Purple Day was for that education and awareness, how you guys, all of us here, pushed for so much. That is the idea behind Purple Day, is to push that information and education even more. I'm so glad you guys are getting that in your schools for Emma and for the peers and the public, and doing this too, this podcast with me. Laureate said, thank you for your positive responses. She is a fellow caregiver as well. Terry asked, what is the plans for the future?
For EmmaIs?
So yeah, everything kind of, we had to put everything on hold with COVID. So we had to cancel our last year event. This year event is canceled as well. We're in the process of actually getting charitable registration, just so we can actually be our own charity. So that's kind of our next step. And then just, kind of planning. We're hoping COVID stops and we can kind of get back to some, our old state of normal and celebrate and get out and we'll kind of look for another event or some type of activity to kind of help raise awareness again.
Excellent.
And from a school board perspective, I want to try to take this issue to the Special Education Advisory Committee and just see, kind of test what we're doing in terms of support and training and teaching and teaching our students about epilepsy and kind of what blanks we can fill in there. And then thinking about a lead up to our inaugural Purple Day, because, as we do this first one, we want to make sure that we're really doing it right. So keep an eye on your inbox for an invitation, Cassidy.
I will definitely do that. Heather asked, how did you explain to Emma's sister her diagnosis, and how did she react and respond?
I think you explained it well, so to her.
We try to be so she's only 9, so we try to be as honest as possible. We know it's a lot for us to take in, and try to explain it to her, and not knowing fully how a kid's mind necessarily operates, we try to just comfort her, knowing that every decision that we are presented with from the hospital, we make sure we follow through and do our research, knowing that it's the best potential option for Emma. Everything we do, like her and her sister are inseparable at times. Definitely there's that sibling feud, but she just cares about her so much that we want to make sure she knows everything that's going on with Emma.
I think what you had said that was when we talked to her was that Emma's brain works a little differently.
Yeah, Emma's brain works a little differently than everybody else's, and it just needs a little extra help, and everything we've done is there to help it, whether it be medication, a diet, or any potential surgery that, whatever the epilepsy panel and the doctors recommend, we know it's in Emma's best interest, and we just go with it.
But we also we worry about Isabella's mental state as well. So we do have her speaking to someone once a month, just to be able to, discuss this with someone other than us, because I think sometimes she might hold back, thinking that I don't want to upset them too much because they're already upset. But she's honestly an awesome big sister.
It's amazing.
Yeah. For my wife, I just explained it to my children with honesty and clarity, and without any sort of fear attached to it, right? The kids pick up from you what you give to them, what energy you give to them. And having Epilepsy Toronto, they have groups, all kinds of groups, like epilepsy moms groups, children with epilepsy groups, children whose parents have epilepsy groups, and through finding, I think, common community, it just makes everything a lot less scary.
Mate, that's amazing. I love seeing the different perspectives too. I feel like that's really important. It really showcases how epilepsy affects more than just the person who has the seizures. It affects the whole family, and seeing the perspectives, I think, is really important. What would be some advice you guys would give to a fellow partner or other parents of someone with epilepsy?
We go through our highs and our lows, and we kind of hope they're at different times, just so that there's that backbone there when the other person's down, and we can flip it. There's definitely times where we're both low and where we're both high, but we're definitely in this together, and we just have a great communication between the two of us, just because we know there's bigger stuff that we have to worry about than maybe who took out the garbage or the little things, the things that don't matter. So we kind of put those where they belong. We don't need them, and we just make sure we focus on the health of ourselves and of our kids.
Mm-hmm.
That's great information.
Yeah, take time for yourself. I think that's important. And I would say do something where you're someone other than the parent or a caregiver of someone with epilepsy. I try to do things where I'm identified as something else, because that's not what I want to be. Like that is part of who I am, but that's not only who I am. Just like Emma is not just the epilepsy, right? So we have our own interests too, and it's important for our mental health to do that.
And like Norm called out earlier, it's support groups, it's Epilepsy Toronto,
Mm-hmm.
it's all the groups on Facebook, Twitter. There's so many people out there that are there to help. We've spoken to people in Ottawa and London. It's been unbelievable, just because they've gone through something, or they're about to go through something, or it might be a little bit different, but it's hearing it from somebody who's lived it is a lot different than hearing it from somebody who hasn't. While it's both great, it's just when you know that person that's lived it and they've come out okay, okay, it's bad, but it's going to get better.
Definitely. And what about you, Norm, from partners, husbands partner's perspective?
Yeah, so from partner perspective, I just try to be an oasis of calm. You know, mommy's having a seizure right now. We're just going to watch some TV, and that's it. Just just approach it very calmly and be supportive where needed, but just to be very calm. And I have to say, like, you know, going out on the purple walks, it's just been great to run into other partners of people living with epilepsy and just kind of hear what they do. And finding that community is just really powerful.
Amazing.
So we had, Cassidy, we had reached out to Epilepsy Toronto, and we had said that if anybody needs support, if their child has infantile spasms, we're more than willing to talk to them. So they have put us in contact with other parents. So they contact us if their child has IS. So I've met so many people in the IS community as well. And it's funny, some of my first phone calls, my first phone call every time I find something out is to someone that I met from an IS community. She lives in Burlington. I'd never met her, and she was the speaker at our second EmmaIs event. But I met her at the event. She showed up, and that's when I met her. Like, I had not actually, but she's my go-to person when we speak to each other, like when we need someone who understands. Go to her.
It's great that you mentioned that, Monica. I mean, my wife and I have spoken to so many newly married couples who are looking to have children and just have questions about how to navigate that as somebody living with epilepsy. And we have two happy, healthy children, and you know, we give them courage, and we give them strength to know that it can be done, and everything is going to be just fine. It's so important to find like people in like similar situations.
It's so true and so amazing that how wonderful this epilepsy community is and can be, and how, yes, the communication between all of us. Lori had asked, with the caregiver support group, is that a global thing or local?
We're a part of a couple. Some of them are local, some of them are national, and then there's definitely some that are international. There's a massive epilepsy community in the UK, and we've had a lot of connections over there. I think that's the one advantage of social media nowadays. It's the ability to instantly connect. Point in case tonight, that we're able to do that and get answers from different people who experience, you know, even healthcare differently. So it's kind of great to reach out that way.
Okay. If you'd mind sharing if you want to send me the names of the ones that are global. Lori says she doesn't know of any.
Yeah, for sure.
So
Is it specifically the IS ones, Lori, that you want to know, or the epilepsy?
You can unmute yourself too, Lori.
Just in general, I'm in Vancouver, Canada.
Okay.
Just in general, because I don't know of any, and I've been an ambassador since 2009. So.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
I don't know of any caregiver groups at all.
Okay.
Thanks.
Excellent. So yeah, if you guys want to send me the names, I can send them to Lori or.
Sure.
And I mean, we are a very close-knit community, so I'm sure we'll be on other Zooms together at some point.
For sure.
Does anyone else have any questions? They can unmute themselves and ask. Then you guys put them down if you don't want to have the mic on. One question that came through with one of the social media platforms was, how would people be able to reach you if they wanted to reach out and get in contact with you guys?
Yeah, so we have, you know, a couple of social media platforms. I think the easiest way would be through our website. So EmmaIs.ca. And then, you know, there's a link for email and or to our, you know, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter accounts as well.
Thanks.
Thanks, Norm.
Excellent. So Norm just put the website in the chat. I will also, like, when I edit the video in the end, I usually put in all the social media handles and contact information you guys want out there. I put it all in the video too, but like it's good to have verbal as well.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, if anyone else is looking to advocate at their school board and wants any sort of advice, I'm always happy to give that. So, and Cassie, I'd like to thank you for being so approachable, like doing Instagram lives all the time, and just it's really excellent. Thank you so much for putting yourself out there and creating such an amazing day and backing it up, being out there for people with epilepsy and supporting them.
You, I mean, the lives have been so much fun. Like I don't know how or why I've never done them before COVID. There's such this positive energy. Seeing all you guys come on there, it's such a positive energy and atmosphere. It's a great way to start the week. Really gives a positive start to the week, and something to look forward to as the week goes on. And yeah, I love seeing catching up, and Zooms are great too as well. I can actually see all you guys' faces and put a face to the names.
Absolutely, it's a pleasure to see all the smiling faces that are here tonight. And hello, Emma.
We should do this more often because this is the most well-behaved they've been in a while. So.
Zoom calls every night.
Oh, see, I think Isabel just heard that one.
I was struck a nerve. Yeah.
Honestly, all of you guys inspire me to keep doing Purple Day and epilepsy advocacy. You guys are my inspiration. I started with my own struggles, but hearing your guys' stories helps keep me driving forward with this. So I thank all of you guys so much for that inspiration.
The feeling's mutual, Cassidy. I don't think we would be here today if it wasn't what you started. So just, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you, because you made epilepsy relevant, not in a good way, like bringing it forward. And it's been such a great ride. So thank you.
Thank you. And I mean, as we've said before in this, like epilepsy doesn't make us any different. So
For sure.
I mean, we're all proving that, and I thank all of you guys for everything. There's not really any more questions coming through. So do you guys have any parting words you guys would like to say to everyone?
Just thank you everyone for the opportunity to help, hopefully inspire you, maybe, bring a motion forward to your boards or your communities to kind of, make Purple Day even bigger than it already is. Yeah. And Cassidy, again, thank you for facilitating this and organizing this and coming together, because, it's been great.
Thank you guys so much for everything, and I'm glad we were able to find a date to do this and a time that worked well for everyone. And thank you everyone. And
sorry,
Norm, I was actually saying you.
I would just say even this here tonight, we're building community right here, right now. Seeing all of these smiling faces and folks with epilepsy and those who want to learn more and all of it. This is community building right here, right now. And thank you, Cassidy, for helping us do this.
Thank you. And it is community building. I love all of it. There are some parting messages coming through the chat. Audrey said, thank you for sharing. It was informative and inspiring. Lisa said, thank you, Cassidy, Nora, Monica, Dan, Isabel, and Emma. Lots of love. Karen said, thank you for a wonderful Zoom. Sorry I was late, from London, UK. Ian said, thanks for sharing this. Shandai says, thank you. This mom is planning on approaching our school division in Stony Plains, AB, Alberta. Thank you for sharing your experience and knowledge. So let me know when callers come into the mix. Thanks for sharing your stories. And thank you for a wonderful Zoom. Thank you. This is wonderful. Michael from New Brunswick.
Thank you for the lovely messages.
Thank you.
And honestly, I want to say thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. Monica and Dan, Norm, you guys are sharing your stories. Yeah, and having Isabel and Emma on here too on a different on a screen too is great to see them and their faces to this. You guys are all amazing, and just thank you everyone for everything you guys do.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Norm.
And actually,
Thank you, Daniel, Monica.
and EmmaIs to everyone, just put our delegation is posted on our webpage. Feel free to take a look, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate. Excellent. Thank you guys all. Have a great night or day, depending on your time zones. Have a good take care.
Good night. Thank
Bye.
you.
But here you come to sit with me. The northern moon is shining on me. I feel stronger than before. I'm not alone anymore. I look up and